Hi everyone, in this video we will see how to conduct a single population mean hypothesis test with population standard deviation given, so using a z-test. To access the test, you would go to Stat, scroll to the right to the tests, and it's the very first option, z-test. Hit enter, and you will select the input. If the data is given, highlight data and hit enter. And you would come down, enter the population mean, population standard deviation sigma, list name where your data is entered, frequency is at 1 if it's a singly listed data, and you would again type in the list name of the list where your frequency is if you had frequency. Come down and select the direction of the hypothesis test. This is based on your alternative hypotheses. Come down to calculate, or you are also able to draw the graph of this problem. So let's take a look at how to enter the data first, and then we'll come back to this screen. So if you had data given, you would go to Stat, Edit, option 1, and type in your data. So type in the values and hit enter each time. If you had frequency also given, find another empty list and type in the frequencies on that if need be. Okay, so let's go back to Stat, Tests, option 1, since we are using z-test. And so here then you would come down, enter the population mean, population standard deviation, and then the list name. So to type in the list name, let's say all my data values were entered and they're in L1. So the list names are up here above the numbers on the calculator screen. So second 1 will give me the L1. Frequency, let's say if it was also given and it was in L3, so you'll do second 3 to get the L3. And if not, you could clear that up and type in 1 again. The alpha was highlighted, so we need to hit alpha and then 1 to undo that. So you get the frequency of 1 if you didn't have the frequency list. Okay, so that's calculating with data given. What if data is not given? So let's go up to highlight the input with stats given statistics. So go to the right, highlight stats, hit enter. And again, so you would type in your population mean, population standard deviation, sample mean, sample size, and the direction of the test, and then calculate. So let's take a look at an example to work with. So let's go out of this here and let's work with example 1. So the example states that the mean throwing distance of a football for Marco, a high school freshman quarterback, is 40 yards with a standard deviation of 2 yards. So this is the established, this is his average statistics. So the 40 yards is the population mean and 2 yards is the standard deviation for the population. So the team coach tells Marco to adjust his grip to get more distance. The coach records the distances for 20 throws, and for those his mean distance came out to be 45 yards. So the coach thought the different grip helped Marco throw farther than 40 yards, conduct a hypothesis test at 5% significance level. Okay, so how do we test coach's claim that the mean throwing distance is actually greater than 40 yards? So first, let's take a look at the summary of the problem here on whiteboard. So the population mean is 40 yards, population standard deviation is 2 yards, sample size 20, and for that sample, the sample mean is 45 yards. So we need to test the claim at 5% significance level. So set up the hypothesis first. The null states that it's equal to 40 yards, and the alternative claim is that it's greater than 40 yards. To check that, to test it, we need the p-value. So we go to our calculator, Stat, go to Tests, option 1. Since population standard deviation is given, we can use the z-test. and stats are given. So we leave it on stats and come down and enter all the information. So the population mean was 40. Population standard deviation was 2. Sample mean was 45. Sample size was 20. And the direction is based on the alternative. So the alternative stated that it's greater than. So go to the greater than symbol, hit enter. Let's make sure all our values are correct. So let's take a quick look here. So yeah, mean population is 40, standard deviation 2, sample size 20, sample mean 45. Okay, so all that checks out. Come down, highlight calculate, hit enter. And there you have it. The results screen will give you the z-score and the probability value, the p-value for that z-score. Make sure you read the value all the way to the end. So this is 2.6 times 10 to the power negative 29. So it's in the exponential form, which means it's practically equal to 0. So based on this result, you will write up your decision and a conclusion for the problem. So in this case, since p-value is almost equal to 0, we would reject the null hypothesis. So that's how you conduct z-test on TI84 for a single population mean with population standard deviation given.